Okay, um, we're going to talk about crayon and oil resist. And I went ahead and did some crayon resist and oil resist. And I'm going to show you what it looks like to do watercolor over that. But first, we'll just talk about the crayon and oil pastel drawing. It's nice to work with white paper, but also if you use colored papers, the warm colors will show up really vibrantly on a warm background, and the same with cool colors and cool background. And you can even cross those over and get more of a muted tone with that. So you have your orange, your red, and say with your cool colors you might do a green, different shades of green, blue. You could do a warm, and that will show up. It mutes the warm colors on the cool background though, so just keep that in mind. And I'm going to show you a dry resist and a wet resist. And a wet resist, it gets messy. So if you're working with elementary age students, you might not want to do this. There's a way you can kind of cheat with it so it's not quite as messy. But a dry resist, everyone's familiar with, we just did in class. But your paper is dry, and you would just take your watercolor. You can also use, if you have this in your schools, you can use tempera paint and water it down. That's definitely something you'd want to do before the class got started. But we'll use watercolor with these. And you want it pretty thick. I mean, you can start off with it quite diluted, but the end result, if it's the thicker, the better as far as your crayon and your oil popping out. So you would just wipe this right over the top, and the wax and the crayons resist the water and the watercolor. So try that one here. Oils, and that's really watery, and it doesn't show very much with it being as watery. So you want to just have it really thick, and that's why tempera paint I haven't tried it with tempera paint, but I was reading that it would just give you that really solid background color and really make things pop out. So this is what you would do with a dry resist. And it's not quite as messy as the wet, but the wet offers very nice variation with the watercolor. And it's also something to keep in mind if you're just doing watercolor, you wouldn't have to do it just with resist. But you would just get a hard piece of board, masonite, or this is pegboard, and just submerge this into a sink of water so the whole thing's wet. And the board is just to act as something to support the paper, because they'll need to carry it back to their desk somehow. So this whole page is wet, and it just provides a very nice avenue for the watercolor. It's not quite as solid as the dry paper, but you can do some neat things. If you want to use more than one background color with that, you could add a red, so that's with the wet. And it's just up to your preference, or if you want to have them try both, to get the feeling for the more diluted and the more solid background. And also, while you're drawing, before you start with your watercolor, it really makes a difference what you're drawing on, your drawing surface. Say you were to draw just on the table, you would get not quite a solid line. If you were to pad it with newspaper, you get a more full coverage that way. So that's just something to keep in mind. while you're drawing before you start with the watercolor. And some finished examples when you get all finished. This. And it depends on what you would want your subject matter to be. Some really good options are leaves, landscapes, reptiles, animals, something that you can look at maybe up close and that would fill the page completely to run off the page, and that would offer balance with your composition as well. So these are some finished examples, and you can just see where the watercolor is over the oils and the crayon and the oil pastel, and how that will bubble up, and that adds a nice texture to the finished product. So that is oil and pastel resist, crayon resist. I also want to show you something, a website I found that will offer lesson plans for, it's called kinderart.com. And this first image though is just a Picasso crayon drawing, and I never knew that he did crayon drawings. I guess I never thought about it, but this one right now is, well, when it comes up, it's actually selling. It's for sale right now for $130,000, and it's just crayon on paper. I guess that would go with the cost of that. Right now, this is Optoma. Okay. Oh. Okay. So that's a Picasso, just a crayon drawing. You can just see the different shapes that he used for that. And it has his signature forms, I think, maybe that figure in the foreground there. But I just thought that was interesting. I didn't know he did crayon drawings at all. I mean, I didn't know that he did them and they were up for the public to see. So I thought that was neat. I also just wanted to show you, let's see, this kinderart.com website. This should be it. I have it down here. Might be gone. But they have a lesson plan for doing oil pastels with a leaf as a subject, and it just provides a list of the materials, and there it is. Okay. So it has your objectives, very simple. What you would need, some preparation that the teacher would need to do. What they did for this is the teacher drew a tree, a bare tree, and then the kids would go back later and add their leaves to the tree. So this is a really good website for elementary age lesson planning. So if you might want to check that out next time you're on the computer. And that's it. That was oil, pastel, and crayon resist.